Hi everyone, it's Linda McKenna from Golden Rule Senior Placement Services coming to you today with Tuesday Talks. Our topic that we have selected for this week is signs that your senior loved one needs medical intervention and assistance with activities of daily living. We've gone over these topics a little bit in different periods of our Tuesday Talks, but I defined it a little bit more concisely so we can discuss it and be more effective for your senior loved one's needs. So more attention to detail. There is a wonderful person that writes a lot of blogs and a lot of webinars as well as podcast, and she has gathered quite a bit of data, and it's very interesting that I want to parlay this over to you and how it is very important when we're having this topic. It says, thanks to part of the medical breakthroughs, Americans are living longer today than ever before. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, people aged 65 and older will represent over 1.8% of the population by the year 2030, nearly double of that today. And while a longer life expectancy is certainly something to celebrate, it is not without the challenges that it presents. According to the Alliance of Health Reform, 20% of seniors are living with 5 or more chronic conditions, or we call them comorbidities, seeing an average of 14 different physicians and using about 50 prescriptions every year. As a result of aging, many seniors will eventually require some level of care and assistance with their daily living, what we call ADLs, activities of daily living. But they will find it difficult to ask for help. People value their independence and privacy, and they do not want to be a burden on their family and friends. So if you're concerned about a loved one that may be struggling unnecessarily, it's better to be proactive than reactive, and also transition them in their lifestyle at an earlier point than when it's imminent. And I couldn't agree more. This is something that I experience quite often with placing a lot of our senior loved ones and my clients, is the fact that one waits and one doesn't want to be upsetting to their senior loved one and put them away. I don't like that term, putting them away, or using nursing home such as a liberal sentence or a sentence for life. Not nursing home. Assisted living is certainly not a nursing home. So one says these things, so of course our senior loved ones get very, very nervous. But the families also get very nervous because they don't want to take away their independence too. And transitioning is very, very difficult for a lot of seniors, especially the gentlemen who ran households all their life, and now somebody needs to take care of them. So these are a couple of the topics, the 10 signs that I really like you to concentrate on your specific situation with your senior loved one. And pointed out, be a village with your family. If there's only one child that's taking care of this, seek others, cousins, aunts, uncles, maybe, your senior loved ones, their siblings as well too. But seek out help. Doing it alone is difficult. And honestly, that's why I'm there for you, is to help you on this journey. But when you get support, it really helps your senior loved one to acknowledge that there is a situation, maybe a problem, and it's okay to transition because we're all there to support you, like being a cheerleader. Okay, the first thing, as I had mentioned many times before, is their medical condition. Might be very conducive that they are not well to be home alone. Maybe it's CHF, congestive heart failure, COPD, which is chronic pulmonary disease, that they're on oxygen. So, if there is nobody in their home and they're living alone or with their elderly spouse, How can one maintain that, or watch a diet and watch all those necessary interventions for that loved one? But it also could also circumvent maybe another event. If they're wobbly on their feet and their gait, which is their walking ability, is the fact that they might fall. Now we have another situation. Now, if they fall, hit their head, possibly have a brain bleed, or breaking a bone, that they need to have now surgery to fix that situation. So they become very brittle, honestly, as they get older, and it's very, very difficult for them to function and provide their own activities of daily living, like dressing, bathing, um, even grooming, brushing the teeth, brushing their hair. What we take for granted is something that sometimes they're very inhibited because they don't have the ability to do so. A lot of the times it's a stroke, and the paralysis is not allowing them to do that, which is also affecting their eating pattern. So their medical conditions really, if it's moderate now, we know it's never going to get better. If anything, it stabilizes a little bit, but it's going to worsen. So you want to prepare for that and having intervention and support of their needs. With the ADL of showering and bathing, a lot of folks are not bathing because they feel they're afraid of that they're gonna fall in the shower, slip and falls, and so they're not taking showers, which now occurs. Maybe not bathing often enough occurs that now we're getting urinary tract infections, which is now another spiraling medical condition. So bringing these things out are very much enlightening for your loved one that you're noticing that, but it is natural in their disease process that they're going to be lacking in their activities of daily living. The second thing is when your mother and father are so independent, your grandmother, grandfather, whoever that it may be, is that they were driving. Now they're afraid of driving because their reaction time is not what it used to be. There's more traffic on the roads today. They can't see clearly. They can't hear. Just maybe cataracts, whatever that it may be, is the fact that they're not driving, so they can't be as independent as they think they should be. And honestly, if somebody's having memory issues, they shouldn't be driving anyway. Guesstimating where they're supposed to be going and forgetting the something they traveled on a daily basis and forgetting how to get there. We found seniors that there's silver alerts along the roads of the main highways, 95, 75. I mean, all across the United States, that the civil alerts you'll see on the roads is that somebody gets on that road, a senior, they keep driving and driving and driving, and it could be hours away when they may be found. So driving is something, if they're fearful of driving, there's a point. I brought out with a lot of physicians that I work with, taking away their license is really hard on them, but a doctor should suggest, you're not as mobile as you were in the past. Driving is something, your eyesight is depleting. You should really think about suspending your license. When they hear from a doctor that it has value, when they hear from a family member, you're taking away their independence. It can be done anonymously, that you could report that, and the license could be suspended. And remember, with the license being suspended, they're not insured either. Also, be creative. If you don't want your mother or father driving, pull a plug. So meaning that you just disable the car so they are not driving. Again, just say, oh, mom, dad, maybe there's something wrong with the car that we're gonna look into at a later date. So that's what I'm saying, is really, really be creative in the way of your approach, but recognize that driving could be a problem. Food and nutrition. Sometimes quick and easy things are easier to eat. A lot of frozen foods, dinners that our loved ones are doing, just buy a bunch of them, put them in the freezer and put them in the microwave. And if they're not, utilizing the microwave good as well too is something that could be a problem, or cooking could be a problem if they leave something on the stove a long time. But the food and nutrition part of it is we got to be really strong in our intake of not only our fluids, because we don't want to dehydrate, but more importantly than anything else is the fact that we want to make sure that we don't have a lot of frozen foods that are laden with salt, or something that's diabetic that is laden with sugar. So food and nutrition is important, and that's what gives you energy. And if there's wounds, that's how their wounds are cured faster. But it also ensures them to eat well in a balanced meal. So if this is not occurring, or they might even have spoiled food in their refrigerator. So you should be looking at that on a frequent basis as well. Go in the pantry. I've heard people saying that they had canned goods of their loved one in there from like 5, 7, 10 years prior that expired. Hygiene. Hygiene is a very, very good part. When you see repetitiously that your senior loved one is wearing the same clothes on a daily basis, that means their hygiene, that they're not cleansing well. We could only assume that they're not cleansing or bathing. There might be a smell or an odor to that, that they might be incontinent and they are soiling their clothes too. So be privy to that. But hygiene is important. It's not only cleansing, brushing teeth, dentures, doing skincare, all very, very important. But if you take note that the overall appearance of your loved one is really not what it used to be, it's something that you need to address. Behavior. Is there anxiousness, isolation, agitation, combativeness? If that is something that is going on, especially depression as well, you want to address it really quick on. Agitation and hallucinations could be really something that's developed from a urinary tract infection, which is altered mental status. That bacteria really affects it very much so. Or maybe they need some kind of medication to level them off. They might be not sleeping well also. So behavior is something we're treating also for mind, body, and soul. So you want to make sure that their behaviors and their mental well-being is really intact. And those behaviors you could really detect if there's short-term memory loss or long-term memory loss, that they need to be tested as well. Daily tasks, if it's something that is now taking them forever to do, washing clothes, you see it piling up, trash not being taken outside, dishes in the sink, that's not being tended to. Those are levels of concern, is that if they're not being tended to, or it's taking them very long to accomplish those tasks, if they're not doing those chores, you could only imagine they're not doing chores on themselves as well, with grooming and bathing and dressing appropriately. So what daily tasks become very overwhelming and challenging for them is something to point out. Medication. This is very important subject. I talk with every one of my clients. If they're not able to manage their medications, just setting them up in a medication reminder or in a box that you put in all the medications for morning, noon, and evening, we don't know if they dropped them on the floor. Are they taking them? Are they doubling up on them the next day that they forgot to take them earlier that day? Or they're taking them at the wrong times? Nobody knows that. They might be empty some reason or another, they could be throwing them out. So able to manage medication is important because that's managing their disease process. So if they're not doing it properly, this is something you need to intervene with as well. finances, if they're not paying the bills on time, you notice that you're getting notices from the electric department, or there is bills that are stacked very high on a desk that used to be very completed. These are things that are very important to address, especially electricity and water. If the bills have not been paid, likelihood they're going to be turning off the electricity and the water, so which is now going to be another problem for your senior loved one. So finances, we should not assume that they're on task. And selfishly, I want to say this: there's a lot of scams out there also that they might be be exploited and taken advantage of. 9, as I just mentioned, a stack of mail that just accumulates, not even opened. Something really, really needs to be addressed there. Or a lot of scam mail that comes, in paper form. That's another issue as well, too, that our senior loved ones take. Whatever mail that they're getting that, oh, this is real, they need more money, or this is going to happen if I don't pay this bill. And meanwhile, it's not. It's an actual scam. And the last thing, again, I don't want to say it's the last, but it encompasses it all, is safety. Safety is, we want to be proactive and preventative. Falls are detrimental to our seniors. If they fall, especially after the age of 80, the mortality rate really goes high after the first year of falling. And it usually is very, very imminent death. But more importantly is that we want to address it. We want to make a safe environment for where they are in their home, steps, throw rugs, all those things. Using a walker. If you're using a walker outside at a restaurant, you should be using it at home as well too. Is there clear paths? These are the things that you want to address, because this is what inhibits their activities of daily living. And we're really being proactive and preventative. If you need some intervention with this, I recommend a really quick fix is to offer your parents, it could be costly, but is to look into home care. Having somebody to come in the home and actually help them with all these activities of daily living. Couple of hours a day, whatever that you think that they are requiring to meet their needs. And the other caveat is senior living. Maybe start off with independent, go into assisted, go into memory care. And I want to say that's called aging in place. But meanwhile, there is somebody watching over them on a regular basis. Meals are prepared for them, activities, they are with people of likeness, and it's a grand way of living your senior years. If you have any questions regarding that, I'm your tour guide when it comes to helping you on that journey with your senior loved one. As always, I lead you to my website. It is www.goldenruleseniorplacement.com. And there you will find not only my bio and my demographics, but you'll find testimonials, various options, resources, and a lot of these video talks that you could go back in volumes and repeat and watch them. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out to me by phone, by email, and I'll do my best to get back to you right away. And if you have any topics you want to talk about, send me a little message. I would love to do some studies on it, do some homework, and present it to you as well. Thank you for viewing Tuesday Talks, and thank you for having me in your home and being on this journey with you and your senior loved one. As always, have a blessed week, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.